Hello and welcome to another review on DWC, and this time it's the B25 Mitchell from the relatively newcomer in the diecast world, Air Force One. This is an aircraft I've wanted for a number of years. I've got a few bits and pieces by them, including a couple of B-17s and a couple of P-61 Black Widows. They're relatively basic, but they're decent, and most importantly, they're very good for the money. So let's get into this bad boy and have a little look. So the box comes with a flap, which gives you a very basic look at the aircraft. So a lot of the manufacturers have some sort of detailing on this bit here. Very basic. What I'm going to do, because I've damaged my hand and I don't want to break the aircraft, I'm going to do that off video, and we'll put it on its stand and then put it on its wheels. So here's out the box, and believe it or not, this is it. So my one's got a bit of a wonky gun there. I don't know if you can notice, but that can be straightened up, not a problem. The only thing that comes with it, there's no up undercarriage option. There's a couple of guns in there, or broomsticks as they should be in this sense. I would have thought though for the front and the rear, but it doesn't appear so. So I'm not entirely sure where they actually go. What is good is the detail on the engine. So very much like the B-17 by Air Force One, the cow flaps are in an up position, which must be relatively hard to model, I would imagine. And also the bit that I really like is the fact that there's no guns in the front or rear, and that's historically accurate for a Doolittle Raider. And for those who are in Europe, we should see the arrival of a B-23, which was familiar to these shores. And that was a B-25 called Grumpy, which went off to the United States some years ago. And those old enough to remember will remember it at the Fighter Collection, Duxford. It's coming back in a Doolittle Raiders scheme as well, and it's going to live in Switzerland. So hopefully it will pass through. So let's talk about some of the good bits and bad bits. Well, looking straight down at it, the detailing on the engines, we've got olive drab inside the engines, which is completely wrong. So the engines are green, which is a bit of a no-no. The other thing as well, which you'll notice, is that it's on its undercarriage. That is exactly the way it's been modelled. So there's no up undercarriage at all. But looking at it, I don't know whether you could interchange them with a Corgi set, but I wouldn't want to play around with it. It's really solid on its undercarriage, and it's also not tail heavy, which I think some of the B25s are by Corgi, and they have to use that little sort of counterweight in order to hold them up at times. So that's relatively poor. I like the detail there, but the detail inside is really bad. In terms of a B25, it looks like a B25. It doesn't look very different to the Corgi one. I'd be interested when I get the Desert Rose one out to put it alongside. It does look very basic though. The detailing, now if you look there, you can see the rivets, which are probably overscaled. They'd be the size of tennis balls in reality, if you sort of had them on the real aircraft. Also, underneath, we can show you, there's a rather horrible join line all along the aircraft itself, including obviously two big holes for the stand, which brings me on to the next bit. The stand is relatively poor as well. This aircraft looks like it's got some sort of moisture underneath the actual canopy as well. I don't know if that's a specific issue to this brand of aircraft or whether it's just one that I've not got out the box yet. But look, overall, I think I paid about 30 odd quid for this, maybe 40. I think it's a decent amount of money for what it is. It hasn't quite got the absolute detail of the Corgi, but even still, it's still a fine little addition to your medium bomber range if you got them. I think I've got something like 4 Doolittle Raiders now, which is quite excessive, but then that's just the way I go. But overall, actually, it doesn't look too bad. I think the green looks a bit more, I don't know, almost browny compared to what I remember the Corgi one to be like. I don't think it's a million miles off though. I think I'm just nitpicking now. But overall, actually, it's not a bad little model. It really isn't. Now it moves. It moves on its wheels. It's got movable wheels, or the main wheels are movable, which is nice to be able to do that. But if you are a wheels up sort of guy or lady, you will have to put up with the wheels down this. The other thing as well, which I'm massively not keen on, is this rather brutal looking industrial like stand, which is literally held together with a nut there. Really easy to put together. It's really solid, but it just looks a bit I don't know, just looks a bit cheap, doesn't it? But look, overall, not a bad value bit of kit. Let's get her up on a stand and see what she looks like. So here she is up on the stand. As I said, there's two holes underneath on the fuselage, which are held onto two holes on the stand. It is solid. It is not going anywhere. Give that a good wobble for you. But overall, it isn't bad. It really isn't. It's a shame it doesn't have the opening bomb bay door like the Corgi. Um, but there's also no pilots in there, which is a bit of a bummer. Would have been nice to have some sort of them, 1940s era Army Air Corps pilots in there. But it's a good little model. It really isn't bad at all. Like I said, it'll be interesting to see when I pair it up with the Corgi example to see how nice it is in terms of shape and size. But I don't think it's going to be far off. It does feel about right. Yeah, let me just get it down on her undercarriage and we have a final run through. So, overall faults. Well, this is a number of years old now. I couldn't tell you the exact date of the Air Force One first Mitchell release. But they recently released the second one, and the name escapes me. So it might be Whirling Dervish. I might be wrong on that. But very, very, very good value. I think it's a good little aircraft to add alongside obviously their P61, B17, and the B24. What I'm yet to get. I mean, it's interesting to see your thoughts, guys, and see what you think. But there's bits they can certainly do better. The inside of the engines is an absolute travesty, really, and underneath there, that big sort of whole fuselage join looks a bit ugly. But let's be honest, we don't really look underneath our aircraft unless it's really up on the stand. But overall, for me, it's a 6 out of 10, a decent rendition, and a great little value bomber to put in your range. Thanks for watching, and I'll speak to you soon.